Whatever you know about Cruelty Squad, Psycho Patrol R is 10 times worse. And when I say 10 times worse, I don't mean that it's a bad game. It is a good game. Psycho Patrol R was developed by Ville Kallio, or as he's known by his studio name, Consumer Soft Products. And it's clear that this game is a major leap in scope and much more ambitious compared to Cruelty Squad. From the interaction with the NPCs, the tools at your disposal, to the open world that has tons of nuance and little details that you can find. And with the game only being in very early access, it already feels like a complete game, with a lot of new features and mechanics that are brought to the table. And after playing this game for nearly the same amount of time it took me to beat Cruelty Squad, get all the endings and achievements, I can definitely say that it is worth the money. If you can look past the price tag, which is double Cruelty Squad's, which people have been complaining about, saying that it's too expensive, but Ville, he just doesn't care. But even after playing for the time I have, I still haven't completed all of the side quests and explored every little nook and cranny of all the areas. So there's still so many more hours of content that I haven't experienced yet. And all of this shows that Psycho Patrol R isn't trying to hop on the bandwagon of Cruelty Squad's success, but rather become its own separate thing. But first, my last video on Batman did pretty well. However, over 90% of you aren't subscribed. So how about we change that, you know? When subscribe equals 5 years good luck.
I lost it all. I just lost $50,000.
Anyway, back to the video. Psycho Patrol R is described as an immersive sim, with immersive sim pretty much being a game that has an emphasis on player choice and giving you the full freedom to complete an objective however you want. Whether you want to just stick to gunning down your opponents with the weapons you've managed to acquire, or use a more tactical approach by using the different equipment and skills you've amassed across your playthrough. And much like Prey and Bioshock, Psycho Patrol R has a wide range of equipment and weapons that you can use to approach an objective however you like.
I'm counting down the minutes until I can be with you again.
You could try and clear out an entire area on foot, or just use your V-Stalker mech to eviscerate any enemy that's in front of you. Is there a long corridor of enemies that you can't quite get past, where you can just hack the turret that's in the same room, kill anyone you can, and then disable the turret?
Are you still there?
You've also got grenades, breaching charges, and defuse kits. And if you're too poor to afford a defuse kit, then you could have the shell casing from your own gun detonate it for you, while you stay back at a safe distance. And all of this promotes experimentation, giving you the resources in order to be as tactical as you want. However, one thing that I think really sets apart true immersive sims such as Deus Ex and System Shock from every other more accessible game is the level design. Good level design in immersive sims will make you question, surely there's a better way to approach this. And already you'll start to use your brain and start looking for different access points and angles to get an edge against the enemy, instead of just, big corridor, I see enemy and go forward now. And the level design in Psycho Patrol R really does give you a huge plethora of options on how to approach a scenario, instead of just constantly getting rolled over and over again by the same two sweats holding the nastiest pixel peak you can imagine. You can just go around the back of the building, destroy a manhole cover, and get access to the building from the sewers, and circumvent the entire altercation altogether. Or climb to the top of a crane and get access to the building from the roof. There are so many little entrances and secrets that you can use to give you an edge in a scenario that it really helps give you that feeling that nothing is off limits. There are some areas in the game that are unfinished though, with literal construction workers telling you that some buildings don't have finished interiors, and you'll sometimes find yourself stuck in a room with no way to get out, to which Ville generously added the EFP standard cyanide, with its only use as stated in the patch notes being to kill yourself in order to get out from an area you're stuck in. Also, this is a bit off topic, but in the patch notes he also changed a reference from Ohio with a reference to Michigan instead, because quote, skibbity rizoid zoomers thought it was a meme.
I take my shirt off and all the whole stop.
Unlike Cruelty Squad, where depending on how many times you died, then the game would lower your difficulty, with there being 3, technically 4 different difficulty settings. Psycho Patrol R has 6 difficulty settings that you can choose from, with the hardest one being Extravagant, referencing the Extravagant Suit mod that you could buy in Cruelty Squad, which gave you no tactical advantage whatsoever. and just made everything in the game one hit kill you. Honestly, there's no point in buying this unless you're going for the achievements, or want to flex to the 3 people that actually care that you speedrun the entire game with it on, alongside using the worst gun in the game that jams every 3rd shot and got the highest rank on every level. Please touch grass. But honestly, every difficulty in Psycho Patrol R might as well be extravagant, because no matter how good you are at the game, one fuck up and you'll instantly get one tapped so hard that you'll be sent into the back rooms. Choosing from the 9 unique classes that you want to play as, that all have their own different starting weapons, items and distributed stats, with one of them having everything maxed out if you can't be asked to properly level up in the game. You'll spawn in your office inside the European Federal Police HQ, where you work as a member for the Psycho Patrol, tasked with taking down psycho hazards. For returning players that have played Cruelty Squad before, the AIDS control scheme is still here, so it will definitely take some time to get used to for new players. But at least it's not as bad as the default control scheme in Deus Ex. Have you seen the travesty that are the keybinds there? Left bracket to scope in, bro.
I fear no man, but that thing, it scares me.
You'll also notice that the actual HUD itself is a lot less intrusive and obtuse to decipher than Cruelty Squad's. The permanent border is still there, however it only covers 2 corners instead of the entire screen. The main information you'll really have to take note of is in the top left, where you can see your health, your armor, and a bar for fatigue, which is pretty much your energy. Once it reaches 100, then you'll pass out and wake up the next day. You should always keep track as to how much the bar has filled up, because if you've been trying to get inside a building for the last hour and you finally manage to get past that one enemy who's just been dicking you and you pass out, then this can be devastating, reverting all your progress as you get killed while you sleep. You are able to use items such as an espresso and energy drinks to reduce your fatigue, so you don't pass out mid-fight. Below your fatigue, you have your orgon, which works a little like stamina. It's mainly used for movement whenever you're in your V-Stalker, and depending on your playstyle, there's a number of mods that you can acquire that increase your movement speed, but also drain your orgon energy a lot quicker. So it's probably best to upgrade this every once in a while. There's also a few weapons that use the orgon energy as ammo, with the coolest one in my opinion being the Ventman organ, which is this weird flesh gun that you can get from killing a creature that roams the inside of vents, and also murmurs to itself.
Well, okay.
Whoa! But below your orgon, you have a bar for DNA damage. Right now, it doesn't do anything apart from count how many times you've died, separating the sweats who complete the game on the hardest difficulty without dying from the filthy casuals. But I'm sure that once the game gets more refined and updated, then there will be an actual use for DNA damage. Maybe a permadeath feature where if you play on the hardest difficulty and your DNA damage reaches 100, then your save gets wiped. Your visibility meter tracks how far people can see you, with the distance decreasing whenever you crouch, obviously, but also as the time of day gradually changes, and if you're in particularly low lit areas. On your crosshair, there's also a counter that shows how far away the current thing you're looking at is away from you, and you can use this and compare it to how visible you are in order to decide if it's worth sneaking past a group of enemies. Under your main bars, you have a slot that shows what current item you have equipped that you can quick use. And next to that is a clock showing you the current time of day. The all-seeing eye makes a return from Cruelty Squad, showing you if any enemies can see you. However, in this game, it shows you if non-hostile NPCs can see you as well. So you'll be paranoid half the time, trying to figure out if an actual enemy is looking at you, or just do average natty gym bro.
I've done steroids.
Finally, there's a counter where you can see how much money you have, and also a box where you can see ambient dialogue from random NPCs and your character's inner thoughts whenever you interact with something. Building on further from Cruelty Squad, you now have an inventory where everything you collect across the world will get stored, with notable items such as cocaine, alcohol, and standard health items, all affecting you in some way, whether your fatigue gets increased, your toxicity, or your health. You can also eat actual paper, if you want. There are also unique high value items that you can find that can be sold to NPCs for a large amount. And finally, in my opinion, the biggest and most impressive addition to the UI in this game is your computer that you can access from the pause menu. You should take note though that if you want to access it when you pause, then time won't stop like every other game. So you should only really access it whenever you're in a safe space. Here you can see your status, case files, log, database, messenger, and the stock market. However, it works nothing like Cruelty Squad's stock market, so you can't exploit it to get infinite money. Your status serves as an overview for your character's stats and equipment. You won't be able to level up from this screen, so you will still have to go to your HQ in order to do that, which I'll talk about more later. Your case files will be where you can see all your current quests that you have active, and also ones that you've completed. Clicking on an individual quest, you'll see the main objective, and also important dialogue from NPCs that advance the quest, alongside your character's inner thoughts that will allude to what you have to do next. There aren't any objective markers in the game, so you will still have to figure out what to do by yourself, which actively promotes exploration, instead of having the game do everything for you. Your log acts as a day-to-day diary where summaries of conversations you've had and what your character's thinking will be written down, respective to each in-game day that has passed. The database will keep track of any unique NPCs you've encountered. You can see their portrait, a basic description of them, and also a bunch of info about their standing with you, and which faction they're affiliated with. You can also see any NPCs that you've killed that will be highlighted in red. And all of this helps make the world feel like a living, breathing place, and that your actions will actively affect the world around you, further adding to the immersion. The Messenger is pretty much a Twitter timeline, where you can, for now, only see a few select characters' profiles and actually talk to them through the chat system.
Hello there.
From an IT technician who hates his job, to your old drug dealer friend who sells you cocaine, who you can actually meet with in the world. Though the chat system is pretty limited, allowing you to only talk to a few select characters with a finite amount of dialogue choices. But I've never really seen this done in any other game, apart from maybe Cyberpunk, where people would send you texts and you could reply back to them. And making a return from Cruelty Squad, you have the stock market. Here it works nothing like the stock market in Cruelty Squad, like I mentioned before. Instead of it updating constantly, it only incrementally changes as the days go on, and you can only make one transaction per day until you become an accredited investor, with the requirements being you have to invest at least 15k into the stock market. But even after you do that, you'll still only be able to make 2 transactions a day, with more transaction limits requiring you to invest 100k. However, one silver lining is that whatever money you do have invested, after each day you at least get paid out a shareholder dividend, which is a good way to earn some passive income. And since making this video, Ville has added the Budget Master 2000, which is a tab that shows you your daily income and how much money you'll make from your investments, alongside the amount of money that will come out from your ammo debt, which is actually pretty helpful to track so you don't end up eternally broke. Finally, there's also a photo of Nebuchadnezzar,
This first strange flick into the ground,
which is the wallpaper of your computer. So I'm assuming that as the game gets more developed, there'll be more photos that you can find around the world that you can swap out as your wallpaper. But after spawning in your office and getting accustomed to everything, following the name tag that you can use to track any unique NPC in the game, you'll reach the office of Lorenzo Visconti, head of the Psycho Patrol, and also your boss, who you may or may not have repressed homosexual feelings towards.
David Thomas.
Reaching his office and talking to him, there will be several different dialogue options to choose from. You can talk to pretty much every NPC in the game, with some of them giving info about themselves or lore about the current area you're in. Some NPCs just say nothing, but seeing as the game is in early access, I can't really complain about that. The chat system also has a hostility meter, where depending on how much the current NPC you're talking to likes you, they'll give you more info about something, directly inspired from Morrowind. Where in that game you also had multiple dialogue options and a hostility meter, with Ville himself even saying that it was inspired by Morrowind.
It's taken a bit from like Morrowind, like the dialogue style.
You can also bribe enemies into being less hostile towards you. However, if you don't flood them with enough cash, like your average money whale with a humiliation kink,
I love you, Goddess Cindy. I love being your slave, being your cock loser.
then they'll see your bribe as an insult and call you a brokey. And compared to Cruelty Squad, talking to NPCs in this game is a lot more in depth.
I'll be back.
Where before there was only preset dialogue and would repeat the same thing once you were done talking to them. You should also take note that unique NPCs that provide an advanced quest further will have their name highlighted in yellow, as opposed to the standard common NPCs you'll find everywhere that are highlighted in white. Another feature that makes a return from Cruelty Squad is that if you kill these unique NPCs for whatever reason, then their name will show up in the top left saying that you killed them. However, instead of permanently ceasing to exist, like in Cruelty Squad, they'll just turn into these ethereal ghosts with you still being able to talk to them. Also, whenever you walk past some NPCs, they'll actually say real ambient voice lines, with one of them being literally me during a shift.
I need to kill myself after this shift.
Another new addition to the game is Bion.
Yay!
A spherical apparition of energy that serves as your kind of sidekick for when you're out in the world. Talking to it, it will comment on updates to quests and try and help you on what to do next. I personally didn't really use it that much, and it looks like it's mostly just a thing to talk to from time to time, rather than rely on it for hints on quests. If anything, it reminds me of Microsoft's Clippy, which was this fucking useless virtual assistant that Microsoft decided to add in Office 97. It was originally designed to help and give tips for when people were using the Office suite, but was more akin to the tutorial pop-ups you see in games that let you know that the W key does in fact move you forward. Talking to Lorenzo about the ongoing SLS panic, he'll give you your first proper main quest of the game. Granted, it is the only main quest, but with the amount of content there is in the game and how many different side quests there are, this isn't really an issue. And technically, according to the Steam description, every quest is a side quest.
I'm as clean as a whistle. Time to get dressed.
Lorenzo tells you that rumors have recently been circulating regarding a chemical used in cosmetic products that is apparently causing cancer and hair loss, and that people should stop using cosmetic products entirely. Which, he tells you that he's relying on you to figure out what's going on and who's spreading this misinformation. But after you finish talking to him, you're pretty much free to go out and do whatever. You can explore the rest of the EFP HQ, go down to the company spa, or go and mingle with the locals in an area that can only be described as Blighttown. And if you want to explore everything before talking to Lorenzo first, then you can try. You won't get far. In each area, there are multiple extraction zones that will act as your checkpoint for that current area. From there, you'll be able to fast travel to any other extraction points you found elsewhere. But for a game that's only just come into early access, there's a lot of areas to explore with a ton of different side quests to do. You can go down and investigate a noise complaint about some guy who's blaring only the most comprehensible Scandinavian music. And you can try and find a horse for some guy's daughter who claims she's in love with them. But with no horses about, you end up animalizing her father into the horse and give it to her. And that's just to name a few. The main two NPCs in the HQ that you'll be coming back to will be Helmet Set and Edelgard Schmidt. Interacting with Helmet Set's computer, you'll be able to level up your character, with each level costing more and more money as you acquire more levels. However, enjoy playing through most of the game still stuck at your base level, because if you've been just shitting out bullets constantly while you go through each area and not banking some of your money in the stock market, then the price of those bullets will come out of your personal balance, plunging you into severe crippling debt. You can just scope out an area first, map out where each enemy is, and then just save scum your way until you manage to kill everyone. But you wouldn't do that, would you? The leveling system alongside a lot of other things in the game are... Stay over now. they're like Dark Souls. Right, I know that pretty much every difficult game under the sun is compared to Dark Souls, and it's just a fucking meme at this point.
The game literally just cheated.
You die too many times in a game, it's just like Dark Souls. The bosses are too difficult, it's just like Dark Souls. You get fired from your job and have to start selling your body on the street in order to make money. Don't blame society, blame Dark Souls. But there are genuine comparisons from Psycho Patrol R to Dark Souls. From the leveling system, like I said before, the different classes you can choose from at the start, dropping your currency every time you die, and trust me, you will die. A lot. You've also got the convoluted, borderline deranged lore. Right, you've even got hidden walls in this game. Like, come on. But I also feel that Psycho Patrol R isn't only comparable to Dark Souls by just mechanics and lore, but also the precedent it's setting. Before FromSoft released Demon Souls in 2009, games were good, but fairly rudimentary in the grand scheme of things. Go here, do thing. You don't know where to go? Oh, don't worry, we put an objective marker just for you. But Demon Souls came out and goes, nah, I don't think I will. Objective marker? No. Tutorial? Barely. Oh, what's that? You're dying a lot? Oh, I'm so sorry. Just get good.
Well, that's sad.
Demon Souls strayed from pretty much every convention in gaming, that it spawned an entirely new genre. You don't play a game like Dark Souls or Elden Ring because it's easy. You play it for the challenge. That feeling you get when you kill that one boss that you've been stuck on for the past 3 hours, you might as well have taken heroin, because holy.
Damn, man, look at that, look!
And while I don't think Psycho Patrol R or Cruelty Squad are creating an entirely new genre, they're still deliberately making themselves abstract. Instead of adding microtransactions to every possible facet of the game, Ville actively supports piracy of his games, much like other games such as Darkwood and Ultrakill, with the developer of Ultrakill probably dropping one of the hardest quotes of all time.
Culture shouldn't exist only for those who can afford it.
But it also goes beyond how much money the game can make. You see so many cookie cutter games that come out half finished with their live service elements as the main focus. But more and more often you see a lot of indie games that outperform AAA games on a regular basis. You've got Lethal Company, Buckshot Roulette, Repo, and the most recent Schedule 1. All of these games don't have a single ounce of microtransactions in them, because making money isn't the main focus. The main focus is to just make a fun, finished, working game. People are so tired of paying full price for a broken game, which is why they're gravitating more towards these games that are made by just a handful of people. And I feel that Psycho Patrol R is helping push that narrative forward, that people shouldn't settle for soulless games where you're bombarded with ways to spend money, but rather a complete experience made by passionate people. Anyway, the second NPC you'll go to the most is Edelgard Schmidt. And her computer acts as your armory, where you get to equip yourself with a range of different tactical equipment and whatever gun you've managed to pick up off someone's body. And just like Cruelty Squad, there are a lot of guns that you can use, with my personal favourite being the Hyena, with it having enough power to kill any enemy in one shot and entire V-Stalkers in a few hits, and the recoil being so violent that every time you shoot, it's like having your own personal chiropractor.
Is that sweat I feel coming off your head?
Yeah.
You can swap out what gun you use and the actual components on your V-Stalker, making it fully modular. And you can also buy different components, guns, and equipment from the shop built into the computer. And all of this works in tandem to promote experimentation, giving you the ability to discover what playstyle suits you best, instead of just running down main until you manage to kill everyone.
What's my carry doing?
Why is my carry frontlining, bro? But after picking out the guns you want to use and the equipment in your loadout, once you get into your first proper gunfight, you'll realize that your gun's reticle compared to your crosshair lags behind where you look, as if you've just downed a whole bottle of your finest vodka and gone out for a leisurely drive. But aiming in this game is actually pretty difficult and will take some time to get used to. Where? Oh my god, bro. For the first few hours, you'll probably spray in the general direction of the enemy and hope that your shots hit. But then you'll realize that taking a slow and methodical approach will probably be the best way to not get one-tapped instantly. If you're trying to peek around a corner, then I found for myself that peeking and counter-strafing really quickly worked best for me, and I would just take people out that way. Leveling up your perception will tighten your reticle to your crosshair though, making it easier to aim.
Oh! He's cheating! He's cheating!
But even if I wanted to level up, I couldn't because I was just so fucking broke the whole time. You can also dual wield the two guns you picked out, allowing for a scenario where you can clear out an entire building, dual wielding nothing but machine guns while smoking an entire pack of cigarettes at the same time.
Let's face it, guys only want one thing.
A journey to victory has begun! Death to the MPLA!
But if boots on the ground gunfights aren't really your cup of tea, then you can drive around in the newest edition and the main selling point of Psycho Patrol R, the V-Stalker. You can change pretty much everything about it, from the guns to the main body to give yourself more armor with some interesting choices. You can change out the legs that give you different movement capabilities, and even a targeting and night vision system. I decided to channel my inner farmer and construct myself the deadliest tractor in all of Europe. But getting in and actually using the V-Stalker, you'll quickly find out that aiming it is really floaty. Probably worse than just standard aiming. You'll spend half an hour trying to line up a shot on some guy who's strafing more than your average B-hopper in CS. But eventually, just like with pretty much everything in the game, you'll get used to it and actually be able to hold your own in combat situations. If you're fighting against other V-Stalkers, then you can destroy them pretty quickly. However, they can destroy you just as easily. You'll only have just started fighting one, and before you know it, your health is already in the negatives. But if you're really based, then you can use your Orgon energy and infinitely strafe and boost yourself up a ramp at a speed so quick you'll hit the skybox, at which point you can get out of your V-Stalker and proceed to perform a trick shot for phase ill cams. But V-Stalker movement and combat does feel really satisfying once you get over that initial learning curve. And everything I just said about V-Stalker aiming can be thrown out the window, because Ville updated it so it's not as floaty and a lot easier. But with the state Psycho Patrol R is in now, even though it's just come into early access, it already feels like a complete game, with so much content included in it from day one. Obviously there will be a few bugs that need to be fixed, and additions that need to be made, and the game is far from finished. But playing this game after playing Cruelty Squad, half the time I couldn't tell if something was bugged or just part of the game. I can't wait for what else Ville has to offer with this game, and if this video doesn't convince you to go and buy it, then, I don't know, go back to playing Fortnite, you freak.